Hello and welcome back to the Bookshelf Odyssey. My name is Art, and today I'll be doing the New York Book Tag. Now, I was tagged by Nikki from My Messy Bookshelf, and if you're not subscribed to her channel, that's probably why she only has 250 subscribers. So go over there and subscribe. She's one of my a newer channel to me, but one of my favorite new channels I've come across this past year. And she was so kind enough to tag me like 3 months ago in the New York Book Tag. And I have taken forever to get around to filming it. So I apologize for that, Nikki, but thank you for tagging me. I love doing book tags. I just always put them off for some reason. Before we get too much farther into the video, hopefully I'm not going to start sweating to death. It'll make for a very unpleasant video, but I record up in the attic, and now that it's summer in Iowa, I can't run the air conditioning while I film. It's just too much noise in the background. We just have a wall-mounted air conditioner. So I'm going to get probably really red-faced and sweaty in this video. Now, if that doesn't make you want to watch the rest of this video, I don't know what will, okay? But besides that, I'm also wearing my Seattle Mariners t-shirt. In Nikki's video, she wore her New York Mets t-shirt. So I thought, just in solidarity of our having the misfortune of following teams that don't always do so well. I'm in the same boat there. But all right, before I melt in this summer heat, let's go ahead and dive in. Prompt number 1: what is your favorite book set in or around New York City? I really enjoy the Nero Wolfe mystery series. It's set in New York City, probably like around the 1930s, 1940s time frame when Rex Stout was writing them. It follows armchair detective Nero Wolfe, who is a man who is very, as you could say, he has a very particular set of skills, but they're all mentally inclined. He has a rigid schedule he keeps every day that he never varies from, very seldom. He likes to spend time up in his greenhouse tending his flowers, and every once in a while he's bothered to solve a mystery. So because he hardly ever leaves his house, he sends out his assistant, Archie Goodwin, who is the narrator of the books, and he's kind of that wisecracking private eye character that really makes the series worth reading. Nero Wolfe is really kind of an unpleasant person, but you still end up cheering for him. But Archie Goodwin really makes the series worth reading. It is a product of its time in some ways, especially as Archie's view of women go. It's not often too bad enough to make me want to stop reading, but just know that going in. And I love the way that Wolfe will often set a trap for the person who of the murderer, and sometimes, and it was really surprising, like in the first book especially. So minor spoilers, but he basically sets a trap so that the killer ends up killing himself or harming himself in his attempt to cover up his own crime. It's really clever how he does that from time to time. A little dark, a little in that sense, but it's a lot of fun. Okay, prompt number 2. New York is famous for its skyscrapers. What is the highest building you have ever been up? I'm not sure, but I think it would be the St. Louis Arch. I went up a few times when I was a kid, and then later on as an adult, I went back, and it's the most terrifying thing that I've ever experienced, I think. I do not like heights. I'm scared to death when I get up high. And then going up with my children and seeing them just kind of run around and like press against the window up there on top of the arch, and you just realize you're so far up. It's frightening. So it's not an experience I would ever like to repeat. Although I have been up the Space Needle as well, so I don't know which is taller actually. All right. Well, according to the internet, the arch is 630 feet and the Space Needle is 605 feet. So where that relation is to the observation decks, I would probably say the arch beats out the Space Needle by about 20 feet, but that's 600 feet too high for me. I'm really glad I'm not over 6 foot tall, because I'd probably just get scared every time I stood up. Prompt 3. New York, New York, so good they named it twice. What is the last book you reread? Oh, well, that's easy. I just actually finished rereading Barnaby Rudge by Charles Dickens. That was only the second time I've reread it. And Barnaby Rudge is one of his historical fictions novels, and it's set against the story of the Gordon riots. I think that was around the time of like 1780s or so, and I enjoyed it the first time I read it. I'm not sure I enjoyed it quite as much the second time around. I did start off enjoying it, but then I think I got into too many books, especially too many classics, because I was rereading Moby Dick at the time as well. I'm doing for a reading group I'm in. And then I had another classic I was reading. And I do this every year during Victober. I just start reading too many classics at the same time. I need to remember to not overlap like that, because I can read more. I can read different books at the same time, but they have to be really different. Like I can read a sci-fi and a mystery and a classic interchangeably, but if I read like three sci-fi novels in a row, that's like where my brain says, nope, I can't handle this. But yeah, rereading is fun. I'm a big proponent of rereading. I often get even more out of the rereads now that I know where the story's going, and I can kind of see how the author layers in the plot and the characters and how they develop and grow better than the first time through I'm reading. It's like the first time I read through, I just want to get the story, the resolution, what's it all about. And then the second time or third or fourth time going through, I can really just relish the world building, the characters, the dialogue, the descriptions, all that, and kind of really think about what the author is trying to say. Prompt 4. American Psycho was a disturbing novel set in New York. What is the most disturbing book you have read? I'm not actually sure. I don't read very many disturbing books. At least this year, the one is called The Apartment by S.L. Gray. And what it is a story of this couple who does like a Airbnb type apartment swap thing for a vacation. And they're having a bit of a troubled marriage, so they think, going out of town and doing this apartment swap would be just the thing for them. And when they get there, they run into all kinds of scary, ghostly, grotesque things that are happening, including bugs, and there's body horror, and there's possible ghosts. It was very frightening and gross, and I found that to be disturbing. So that's, at least this year, that's one of the most disturbing books I've read, but I don't tend to read them a lot. Now, there have been disturbing movies I've watched that kind of have unsettled me. Oddly enough, my wife finds the Jim Carrey movie, The Truman Show, to be very disturbing. Like, she just couldn't handle that, and thinking that, what if we are in a show, like in The Truman Show? And what if there's people spying on us everywhere we go and everything we do, and there's some sort of giant corporation manipulating our every moment of every day? I mean, that would be crazy, right? Yeah. So yeah, you can see why she would think that the Truman Show was a little frightening, a little disturbing. Okay. Prompt number 5. Where were you when you heard the news about 9/11? Of course, 9/11 happened in New York City. It had a very profound impact on the city. And it was a very sobering day in American history. And I remember I had just gotten off work. I was working an overnight shift, and I came home, and my wife told me that a plane had hit one of the trade towers in New York. And at the time, we thought it was an accident. So, I turned on the news because it seemed pretty shocking. And then if my memory serves, it's funny how your memories get kind of muddled after time, but I think I remember seeing the second plane hit while it was live on TV. And then we realized it was just that sudden gut punch. You realize, wait, this wasn't an accident. You went from, oh, that's really sad, those poor people, I wonder what happened, pilot error or something, to, oh my goodness, we're being attacked. And oddly enough, my second thought, one of my second thoughts was, I've read this before, and I don't know if I think I remember them talking about it a little bit at the time, but I was a big reader of Tom Clancy novels, and in his novel, I believe it was Debt of Honor, there was a terrorist attack right near the end of the novel that pretty much wiped out the entire U.S. government. And the character Jack Ryan had just been named as the vice president. He had to kind of step up to fill in for a vice president who had been removed from office or something like that. And anyway, Tom Clancy plots are very complicated, and in the course of this story, a renegade lone terrorist, he was operating alone, but he took a plane and he crashed it into the Capitol during a that joint session of Congress, when you had all the Congress, the House of Representatives, the I think the Supreme Court was there as well, and Jack Ryan and a few others just barely were able to escape and survive for the next book, which was a really a good one. Executive Orders. I remember enjoying that, but it's funny how, I don't want to belittle something like 9/11 by comparing it to a story, but that's what my mind did. It went from, my goodness, we're under attack, to I've seen this happen. I've read this. They got this from a story. I started thinking about how do we need to be careful about what we write out of fear that someday somebody might take what we write and do something horrible with it. I don't know. And I still don't know what the answer to that is, but I remember just watching the news pretty much all day until I couldn't stay awake anymore. As I said, I'd been working overnight. And I was watching with a friend at their apartment for a while, and he was actually just losing it. He was panicking, and then we started hearing the news reports of it happening to the Pentagon, and then the plane crash in the Pennsylvania field, and he was just like, oh, we're gonna go to war, we're gonna be at war, and all this, and we're gonna get drafted, and all these things, and very frightening, very unsettling time. Later that day, I remember trying to help a friend who had run out of gas. And so she was just a couple blocks from where we lived, and there was a gas station not too far. So I thought, all right, we'll go and help her push her car to the gas station. And then we get there, and there's like a long line of cars, 20, 30 cars in line, and the gas prices have just skyrocketed. And it was really frustrating because everyone was panicking and buying gas. And here's our friend who legitimately needed gas, not because she was panicking, but because she just ran out of gas. And so we spent some time in line. It pushed her car up and pushed her car up as the line went on. But we finally got her taken care of. But yeah, it was a really weird time, and I hope that we never see something like that again. That was just that was awful. I didn't mean to talk so long about that, but all right. Number 6. What is your favorite movie set in New York? Can I give more than one answer? Because I have several. Probably my all-time favorite movie set in New York is the first Avengers film. And I love the MCU, and I love the Avengers. And I remember when I first saw the trailer for that, it was like the movie I had always wanted. When I was a kid, I loved superhero movies still. I loved watching Batman, and I would watch Superman, but I always thought, like, why can't we get a movie with Batman and Superman together like they would be in the comic books or something? And so this, and I was I was in my probably mid 20s maybe, or late 20s when it came out. I don't recall now. Let's see, 2012. So yeah, it was maybe in my 30s actually. But I was like a little kid watching the trailer and seeing, Captain America and Thor and Hulk and Iron Man and Black Widow and Hawkeye, all together in that classic camera swoop around them with the superhero pose. Love that movie to death. Still one of my favorites. All the Avenger films are great. Other films set in New York I love. I like Home Alone 2, Lost in New York. That's such a great film, a good Christmas film. If you compare it to the first one, it's kind of like just a remake, really, starring all the same actors. Just the situations are a little more intense, I guess, but if you watch it just on its own, it's a pretty good Christmassy movie. And New York City is like its own character in that film. Elf would be another. It's set in New York City, and yeah, if you might have guessed, I love Christmas movies. So there's a couple there. New York is just an iconic city to film a movie in. It feels like I know there's some romantic comedies that take place in New York City. Hey, Sleepless in Seattle. There we go. We can connect the two cities that way, Seattle and New York. And then question 7, have you been to New York? When was the last time you visited New York? Technically, I have been in New York. We flew to upstate New York one year to see some of my wife's family, and I believe we flew over New York City, but we didn't land there or anything. It was farther. It was a different location we landed in, but I could say technically I was in the New York City airspace for a while. Does that count? But I've never been on the ground, and I would really like to one day. I think that would be a lot of fun. But I'm scared to drive. It just like the city traffic, just from what I see in videos and on movies and stuff, it just looks horrifying. And if there could be a way I could go to New York and just walk around everywhere, that would be better, I think. And then number 8, who is your favorite painter from New York? Or what is your favorite painting of New York? Well, if you're talking New York City, I don't know if I have one. I'm not really that deeply into art. I appreciate it. I enjoy it, and I love to see people be creative with paint and drawing and all that. But I don't know if I have anything in particular. Although there is that one scene from Spider-Man, that cartoon Spider-Man Into the Spider-Verse, where he's like all upside down, but he looks like he's upside right, and the city is upside down. It's a really cool perspective. I actually like that shot quite a bit. But my wife's uncle is a painter, and he's fantastic. I'll put some of his pictures up here, I think, if I can find them. But he does a lot of painting in rural settings and barns and plein air painting and things like that. And he's been showing his artwork, and he's won some awards and different things. And I really love his paintings. He's the kind of painter that he can do like super, super detailed painting that you'd swear it was a photograph, but then you realize, no, it's a painting. And if I can think about it, I'll leave a link in the show notes to his website. And then question 9, what is your favorite song about New York? Does Christmas in Hollis count as being New York City? Yeah, I don't know of any off the top of my head that would be about New York City itself, or about New York. So I might have to cop out of this one. But all right, that's the New York tag. Thank you so much, Nikki, for tagging me in the video. And if you haven't subscribed to her channel, I'll make sure to tag her below. Please go and subscribe to her channel. It's a great one. And I can't believe, like, I know her channel is just waiting to explode with subscribers. She's just got a fun, chatty channel that I really enjoy watching. So you can check out her channel. The books I've mentioned are linked below. And I'm going to go ahead and sign off now, and I think go and find a cooler place to film some videos. It's if you enjoy my attic videos, I'll see you in the fall. Otherwise, we'll find some different location, because this is just this is intolerable. Okay. All right. Happy summer, everyone. Happy reading. And until next time, take care.